Hey guys, welcome back to another cracking installment of the Matt Brown Show. Today we're going to talk all things connection, all things coaching, if that's still a thing. But maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But we're about to find out with Gias. Welcome to the show.
Hello, audience, and Matt. Nice to be here. Thank you. Let's connect in connection.
Let's connect in connection,
and
darling.
have a coaching session.
I know, with another C.
Yeah, but for me, it's another. Oh, yes, the 6 C's of my practice.
Is that a thing? See,
For me, it's a thing.
I knew it was, and we're going to dive into that.
Yeah, please do, because the first one's connection.
Great.
And coach doesn't exist.
You see, that's what I thought. See, we're on the same page.
Oh, we're always on the same page.
What is this coaching thing anyway? God.
Well, coaching for me is, you see people, bats, baseball. I don't know the difference. I'm not good at sport. When you see a coach, go, hit the ball, move to the left. That's coaching. Does that make you feel good? Because I don't really, then that makes me want to not hit the ball.
I don't dig the pressure, but I suppose...
Exactly, that's it. So the word coach is banned in my practice. Makes me iffy.
So, I mean, who are you and what are you about then? Are you obviously not a coach, so what's the headline there?
I'm a human behaviourist. I deal with humans and I grow potential. I am passionate in a few things, which are my greatest assets and biggest liabilities. First thing, get so happy seeing people succeed and be the best version of themselves. Doesn't matter who and what they're doing. I love growing businesses, brands, strategies. I'm a futurist. I am passionate about adaptability. Fastest growing intelligence in the world. In 2032, new metric test, AEI, adaptability, emotional, and academic intelligence. Problem, I'm very compassionate. So greatest asset, biggest liability. Compassion has its place. Can we go back to the 6 C's? What am I about?
Sure.
Okay, human capital. So HR has changed in business. If you don't invest in your people, it becomes human remains. My practice is based on the 6 C's, the equal opposite of coaching. 1, connection. People are taught not to have a connection, not to feel emotionally. I suck at that. I do feel with my clients. Second one is conversation. We just have a conversation. Be comfortable, relax. It's not easy going to speak to somebody about your life, sharing your personal details, getting help. Third thing is compassion, because I am human and I share my personal experience, which has built who I am. So to the best of my ability, I'm authentic. I do mess up my life, but it's how you fix it, how you make change, how you adapt, how quickly. The next one is clarity. I give clarity. I give answers, perspective, open your peripheral vision. Fifth one is change. My practice stands for clearing, healing, and new gifts emerging. I want you to be amazing. The sixth one's coffee. Simple.
I'll drink to that.
You'll drink to
you'll
that.
drink to that. Something I can drink to.
Cheers. Let's actually drink to
Cheers.
that. Here you go.
Cheers.
There's your sixth
Coffee,
and final
exactly.
C going down.
Yeah, because I've got lots of others, but those are the basics. And
I've
one
got
is
a
not
couple of
coach.
C's in my vocab.
Yeah, me too, but I never generally mention those, especially not to certain audiences.
Cool. Lots to kind of jump in and comment on there. Where did this journey start? I mean, obviously, I've been dealing with you quite more recently, more extensively more recently, I should say. Mutual friends, known you through acquaintances for several years, and this is the first time really get the opportunity to kind of tell your story. So why don't you walk us through the beginning? Like, where did this journey start for you?
Okay, so this journey started very early in my life. I realized from the age of 7, I was different. I had the ability to communicate in a way that made people feel good. But I also had the ability to communicate with a sharp tongue because I see things clearly. And I hadn't learned at that age what a filter was. Okay, so
I learned that last week. I'm about to turn 40.
I'm 45. I'm still managing my filter. No, I'm very good at that. So it started at 7. I had a few what people would call spiritual experiences, connected experiences to a different realm that I believe exists of universal energy, or whatever you want to call it. Fast forward to the age of 17, I was always fascinated with, at that point I didn't know what it was, but it's metaphysics and quantum physics, the study of that which you can't see, which is metaphysics. Quantum physics, the study of energy. And when I look back at me now and who I am, I'm like, wow, you were amazing. I was 17, I couldn't drive. I did a course, first one, Landmark Education Forum. It's first course in self-development. There was no Uber. I went to this conference on my own. I was the youngest person there. It was run by the first black editor of Vogue, which was awesome. And I don't know quite what I was walking into. And I got taught the best story, because this is actually where my journey began.
Okay, go.
Right. Guy stood up. She said, why are you here? He said, I was hijacked. It was terrible. I was beaten up. My teeth got knocked out. Then I went on to antidepressants. Then I lost my business. Then I lost my wife. And now I don't know. She said, oh, okay. You were hijacked. He said, no, you don't understand. She said, not arguing. You were hijacked. Anything over and above that was a story you tell yourself. Now sit down.
Landmark Forum is fucking hectic. I've heard a few people, close friends of mine have been up there. One guy was a guy called Bruce Music, who's been on my show twice, but quite some time ago. And so he was a racist, and he basically stood up on stage and said, I am a racist. And so what I understand about Landmark Forum, and jump in here if I'm wrong or not, but basically when you acknowledge something, it's something that you want to work on, and then you have to commit to something, and then the group of people there hold you accountable. So what he actually did was he moved to Khayelitsha Township, and he lived in the township for 6 months. And it's a very heartwarming story, and a very brave person and character to even
that
start with that. And then the BBC in London picked it up. They were like, why is a white guy living in a black township in South Africa? And that's where it all started. So it was actually a moment of vulnerability, which he then expressed, which takes courage. And then he backed it up with action, wound up doing something which he shouldn't have been doing, but no rational person could understand that. And the BBC picked it up, and that was actually the start of his business, or his coaching practice, which is a funny thing.
I was just thinking I'd love to have a chat to him. Do you know what I want to know? So I didn't do the advanced Landmark Forum. I went on to study differently in metaphysics and quantum physics. And when I lived in London, I did something called life training, which is a different way of working. Other people don't hold your space. You hold your own space. And it is a big journey to teach you how to train humans to be better humans, authentic, honest, face their dark and light sides, and also through humor. Because at the end of the day, some things are funny. I really do funny things, and I laugh at myself. So what I wanted to know is the people that held the space for him, because it's very brave and courageous. Okay, that's a C word that I respect. Yeah. Okay, don't have it. I must add that in. And I haven't always been courageous at all. I've made some bad decisions because I wasn't brave and I wasn't courageous. And I often go, with all my knowledge, how come? Well, because I'm human. But it's how I change it. I want to know what those people said when he stood up, and how he felt safe, because vulnerability is hard. I don't find it a strength. I feel awful when I express vulnerability.
Everybody does.
Okay. So the people around him held a connective space that made him feel safe enough
to express that.
And then take action. So that's what I want to know. Where was the connecting point for him?
What could you assume happened?
They got a shock. Okay. And he obviously, I don't know him, my assumption, he obviously has a sense, he put himself in the Landmark Forum to make change. That's why he was there. And he knew through being upfront, he was being held, if he didn't, he was being held back. Okay. So his honesty and his authenticity, they could feel. It was a feeling. And so they didn't step into judgment.
Also, I would assume that there was a sense of shared purpose.
Exactly. Everybody's there to make change.
It's like you must imagine if that was just one story of 300, you can imagine what would have been shared that day. People, I've been cheating on my wife, or, I'm
But
a
not
terrible
everybody
father.
shares.
Do they not?
Not at all.
So how does the Landmark Forum then work?
So, listen, I'm 45. This was a very long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, from your best of your knowledge.
So there's different courses. The first one is very basic. In a room of 300 people, it's facilitated through exercises and processes, and you do get broken up into groups, and there's various discussions. Okay. My memory of that and what stood out for me was only 2 stories. I don't remember exactly. What I do remember, and I'll tell you the other one, because this also guided the journey, and this is what I left with. It was 3 days. Okay. So I wasn't clear in myself. So the rest, Guy stood up, she said, what happened when you expected one thing and you got the outcome of another and it wasn't good? Guy stood up, cool surfer dude. He was like, hey, man, over her head. So my sister, literally like this, she knew I didn't have a stereo. So she was moving, man. And she said I could have hers. And so I was late to fetch it. And I arrived and she said, sorry, gave it away to someone else. And he was like, oh, man. But then
What the hell?
she gave me binoculars. They were so cool. And so I don't agree with what you're saying. Sometimes an outcome is better. I've used those binoculars for 5 years and I see the world differently. Man. And he sat down. You know what? Do you know what I say? And I've used that in my practice. It's not the stereo, but it is binoculars. Things don't always show up the way you think they are, the way you see them and perceive them, and how willing you are to change your mind. The gifts and blessings, lessons are always there. It doesn't mean they're not hard. I mean, I didn't get a stereo. And in those days, that's important.
You mentioned earlier about the story, about that
Yes.
guy standing up on stage and how, what were the exact words she used? You got hijacked, everything else is just a story.
You were hijacked, yeah.
You were hijacked. So we get hijacked all the time. It's like, as in, you expected this one outcome to happen and something else happened, right? So it's all about how you interpret that event and then the meaning that you associate with that. And then
Absolutely.
ultimately that's expressed through a story that's either going to be on, repeat, like a record that's stuck, or you're going to change that story.
Okay, so to add to that, do you know what epigenetics is?
Epigenetics,
Yes.
no idea.
Okay. It is the study of genes, DNA, and why some people get triggered by behavior and others don't, based on genetics. So they're trying to make sense of behavior through genetics. Okay?
Okay.
I'll add to that. You marinate in the energy of your mother's womb. You are born already into an environment. Okay? You then have your parents, caregivers, anybody who looks after you, gives you input. Maria Montessori said, up until the age of 6, got an absorbent mind. How do we know this? Try to talk to children about learning language until the age of 6. They can learn languages quickly. For me, it's very difficult to learn a language. Children up until 6, multiple. You just have to speak to them. Brain is absorbent, okay? But there's a concept called taught and caught. What you're taught, okay, your parents say this, and what you catch is something different, right? So subconsciously and unconsciously you store information and you start your story, which isn't even yours. Then you go to school, then you religious cultures, everything plays a part in shaping who you are, okay? And when that guy stood up, I'd been hijacked. And then 6 weeks later, I'd got a new car and it got stolen 10 days later. And I was an anxious, nervous wreck. And I didn't want to have that feeling. So it resonated with me. Huh? What got hijacked was nothing. You know what I was given? The ability to understand why. From compassion. Somebody would do that. That's what I got. Hijacked, okay, has many, many, many connotations. So personal stories are beliefs. The neurons that fire together, thought processes fire, wire together. And a myelin sheath forms around it. If you don't change your beliefs, you won't change your world. Your thoughts, your words, the pictures, feelings, all have to be in alignment.
So are you saying that people have a genetic propensity to either be depressed or positive?
No. Didn't say I buy into epigenetics.
No. Okay.
I'm just asking if what it is. My view, I have no idea, but I do believe in energy, belief systems, and telling yourself a story, make it personal. So for many years, I told myself my brother was the favorite in the family. Okay. He was on soccer scholarship to America. I was always different. It was harder for me because I could feel and insightfully perceive realities. That skill in the current education system wasn't acknowledged. Okay. So it felt like I wasn't important to my parents. Nothing that they did, besides make me stand on the side of a soccer field for very long years, actually, did they ever say, we don't believe in you. We can't see what you do.
But that's what you caught.
That's what the belief I got is. My brother's the favorite. I'm not good enough. What I do isn't palpable. I have to become not quirky. I have to subscribe, conform, because then you get acknowledgement, recognition, you make impact, and you fit in.
So what do you say to young, I employ quite a few of them here, but youngsters who are like, let's just say, context is obviously very important. So let's just say that, old Des over there, sorry to pick on you, bud.
Who's Des?
Des, put your hand up.
How old are you,
there.
Des?
28.
Cool. What do you do?
Sales team.
Okay.
So we had Tanya Kunze come in to do a full day workshop with us as a sales outfit, and we discussed and we did this like assessment before the actual session called DISC, DISC. What was it? Dominance, influence, systems, and associated compliance. Okay. Anyway, but it's this formulaic approach to finding out people's modalities. In other words, what subconscious beliefs do they have? What are their propensities in specific context to either be a dominant person or someone that's a person of influence or whatever the case is. So which was interesting for us as a team because it was very revealing that these things sit below what your consciousness, but yet they determine pretty much fucking everything in your life.
Yeah, they do.
Which is crazy, right? It's almost like you have very little free will. Do you believe in that? Free will?
Yes, we do. You have to just make a decision. I'm willing to change my mind. I'm willing to look at who I am, where I come from, my predisposition to be. What did I say when I started? At 7, I had a big mouth and a cutting tongue, okay, and it wasn't very nice. What I learned is that's unkind. Just because I see things, who am I to judge them? I was also judgmental at the age of 7. When I decided that wasn't nice because I'm human, I mess up, okay? And people aren't ready sometimes to get the information. It's a process. I changed my way.
So what do you say to someone who, let's, as an example, I'm not saying this is Des yet, but let's just say that there's a salesperson who lacks confidence in the ability to express one's thoughts. At your point, it's like, I'm not going to say what I need to say because underneath, there's a belief that says I'm not worthy of whatever or whatever.
If I say what I want,
yeah,
then that's being greedy. Or if I say what I want, I'm not going to get it, and I'm going to get disappointed. If I say what I want, I'm going to get judged, and I don't like to be judged. So there are many underlying beliefs under that. First of all, I love the fact that you guys and you invest in doing things that are different to get information. So the first thing is getting information. But once you've got the information, which is sometimes hard, how you work on it, the people and service providers that take you through the process is important. Because that is not a quick fix. That is a conversation that starts with why. Where did this come from? Often people don't know. And so how I work with somebody is I go back to go forward. Questions like, what did your parents teach you? What did they tell you? Who was your favorite teacher at school? Who was your worst teacher? Who inspires you? And then I get insight into that to find the limited belief. When you change your mind, there's something called a pivot process. So you can change your mind, which changes your reality in an instant. Yesterday, I had a chat to my ex-husband. We were connecting. He gave me amazing insight. I wanted to take my kids overseas because I believe seeing the world globally, it shaped me, is awesome. He's taken them twice. I haven't. I was like, no, that's not fair, right? So we're having a whole chat. Connect, he says to me, I want to say something to you. Your view on taking the kids overseas, you think it's like being at a resort. He said, you need your own space. I spent a lot of time researching, reading. He said, you'll go mad. I had an hour to myself in Mauritius. I looked at him. Because I have an open, willing mind, I said, you know what? Amazing. Thank you. I'm now not taking the kids for the next 10 years. Great insight. I had been upset about it. Changed my mind like that. Moved on. Greatest gift and blessing. Huh?
So I want to run and take that same thing. So you just changed your mind. What about this idea? One of the things that came out of the session was this idea of black tax.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I make money, then I'll be taxed because by virtue of, family and the responsibilities and all this kind of stuff. And I accept it, appreciate it, but I don't understand it fully. Okay. But is it really that simple for someone just to...
No, I'll tell you why. So I also worked in the Discount Foundation for 5 years, and I worked on the ground in the townships, rape babies, street children, businessmen, grannies, everybody trying to do something, and have had a lot of interaction with black tax. I am passionate, and I connect very strangely to black males. I'm passionate about their journeys because I don't think that their expression has been allowed or understood or even heard. The first time I worked with 5 cricket coaches, 5 black males, 2 white males, the boss phoned me afterwards to say, what did you do? You made 5 black men cry. Okay.
That 7-year-old tongue thing of yours.
No, it wasn't. Okay. 2 white, I actually didn't even impact the 2 white males. And today, funnily enough, I had coffee. One of my closest friends is one of those cricket coaches. He inspires me hugely, and hopefully he's going to come on a journey with me. But it is not that simple. Okay. You have to change your mind and adapt the opportunities, viewpoint, taking into account the need in the family, your culture, respect, and what you want. It's not an easy process. It's a process, but you can create a different outcome and reality. I don't believe in radical change because generally when you make an impulsive decision, it can go one of 2 ways. But something like that is a sensitive topic. It's rooted in history, responsibility, okay? And you need a voice to be able to make a different decision. So that's, for me, it's a few private conversations to change or open your peripheral vision to other options. You can creatively come up with solutions that you don't think about because you're stuck in it. That still is a win-win.
So you say it's a process, but how do you get someone to trust that process? Because if they don't trust it or they don't trust you, then there's no fucking way.
If you don't trust me, you can't work with me.
Okay, but assuming now, Bukle is not here, but let's just say he trusts you, whatever, but he doesn't trust the process. He doesn't believe that, as you said, it's steeped in cultural history and all this kind of stuff. So he, in his mind, he's like, there ain't no way that's changing. No way, Jose.
Absolutely.
So how do you get him to believe that change is possible? And then second to that, actually trust the process of change, because change sucks. People
awful.
Don't want to change. That's also true, right? So how do you get people to overcome change? Because if it is about adaptability, then it also has to be about the propensity and capability to change oneself. Do you know what I'm saying?
Kill the mark, in my excitement to get it out. Okay, so I don't see it the same way. I'll tell you why. If you trust someone or you like them, you don't have to trust me. You have to like what I'm saying. It has to, my first C, connect, resonate. So I believe in words, taking time in. Insight, inspiration, interesting, innovation, all of there. Okay? I have to ignite, I have to be an activator of a feeling. Don't have to trust me, but you have to listen to what I'm saying and like it. Not go, oh, she talks such rubbish. Right. The first thing is connection. Through the connection and acknowledgement that you're stuck. You're not moving. You're not achieving your goals. And you're willing to change. Now, change, as I said, clearing, healing, and new gifts emerging. Clear out the old, heal, and then gifts will emerge. How you view change, it is hard, but also it's how hard you make it the guy who got hijacked, he made it really hard. I'm not saying that wasn't his reality. Okay, it was really hard. And perhaps if he'd been in a different process, seen it another way, he wouldn't have lost everything. The way you see change is hard, but it's also amazing. Now you're going to get stuck in the belief change is hard. Who says change is hard? The feelings around change when you're put in an uncomfortable situation are uncomfortable, unfamiliar, and feel unsafe. And they're unsettled. In the future, with the fourth industrial revolution, what have you got to get comfortable with?
Change.
Unfamiliar, unsettled, unsafe. All of that. So what it is just uncomfortable feelings. How do you deal with the feelings, right? You choose. You're either going to express them, be willing to hear a different opinion. That's why I said to you, people have a different processing time. Not one human processes the same time. So my private practice, I don't have a model. Depends. Some people need 2 weeks. And I have to form a relationship sometimes before I say something they don't necessarily like. Okay? But it's the truth. And I know that it will shift them. But then the trust and connection is established. Okay? When you make finite decisions, doesn't scare me. Adapting to somebody's personal process is the key to a successful team, but not allowing bad behavior. Because some things are just not cool.
So you mentioned in private practice. I know you're also working, or have done quite extensively now for years in the corporate space.
Yes.
Are we able to mention the big soccer
No.
thing?
Not right
Is that
now.
too much?
Yeah. Do you want some blow your own trumpet stuff? Yeah, I can do that.
Hey, no, that's up to you.
No, it's confidential at the moment.
Okay, cool. So what are you doing specifically in the corporate space? And walk us through, there's the private practice, obviously. It's an awful phone
Who's that?
ring.
You're fired.
Yeah, so talk us
Okay.
through a little bit about what you're doing in the private practice,
Got it.
because there's loads of little. I mean, I've had like Gavin Moffat on the show. He does kind of like his and hers communication between men and women in the
He
corporate
used to be,
space.
yeah.
Tanya Kunz do you know him, Gavin?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Tanya Kunz is doing sales and neuroscience. There's loads of cool programs, workshop type interventions, I suppose,
Absolutely.
happening in corporate. What are you doing? What makes you different?
Okay. First of all, what makes me different is that I am quirky. I don't dress corporate. I am upfront, honest. I find myself funny, make people laugh. I expose my humanity, first thing. Second thing, I'm a futurist. So neuroscience, epigenetics, when you're actually looking at it, that's basically how you change the wiring of your brain. That's something that I learned probably when I was 21. That is 24 years ago. The language that it was created in was different. It was termed spiritual. Okay?
What, spiritual is termed epigenetics?
No. Spirituality tells you, okay, that you marinate in the energy of your mother's womb and this is why you have beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't tell you, there's a shishiwara fairy out there that's going to, give you a wand and say, abracadabra, I don't know what. The universe is here. Here's the sign, It's like, give me a sign. What, go see a stop sign, okay? So the language that it's presented in so that humans can process it, I had years ago. I developed adaptability training, a model, in 2002. Because I didn't have self-belief and I didn't back myself, I just left it there. It's now the fastest growing intelligence in the world. When you first contacted me, you asked me what awards I'd won. And I said to you, I've given myself an award for being exceptionally smart, credible, like my brain fascinates myself, creative genius.
I'd like to thank me.
I did. That changed
For
my
working
world,
so
actually.
hard.
Yeah. Huh?
I'd like to
And then, hold on, before we start, then I'm equally as stupid because I make really bad personal relationship decisions, right? And I don't back myself, didn't back myself, okay? Didn't see who I was. And that was inauthentic. And a client of mine pointed that out to me. He said, you, black male actually, said, you are amazing, but there's a problem. You've changed my life, but you're inauthentic. You need to make changes in your own. How did I take that? Because I literally got, I'd like to thank me at the same time. Yeah, I don't back myself. Time to back myself. When I changed my mind, I got approached to create my model, which is in my brain, into an academically modulated, process for Leadership Academy that will be offered either as an elective or part of a program for master's level up. My passion is actually leadership because, people make changes. So I decided, okay, AEI and the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Cyril Ramaphosa, did you hear how he presented his speech on the 5th of July, I think it was?
I didn't.
Didn't you? He did it incredibly. He did it with a hologram.
Did he really? Did you see that?
Yeah, you ready? Who knows about it?
I think he was the first president to do
A holographic.
What's your name? I like you. What do you do?
graphic design.
Okay, interesting. Right. So he did. That's how he presented Fourth Industrial Revolution. He said, Africans, South Africans and the continent missed out on the first three revolutions. We're behind. Fourth Industrial Revolution is our opportunity, everyone, to alleviate problems and to make money and to grow.
So you're helping corporate execs to adapt to the Fourth Industrial Revolution.
Yes,
or
and
whatever.
two, because the Fourth Industrial Revolution is about this. How do we know humans won't become extinct? Robots can do anything. Literally anything. What will our use be? How many jobs have been lost because technology, especially in the banking space, we've been replaced? Not true though, because none of you. One of the banks is way ahead.
Discovery.
Took a look, I don't mention names because my client confidentiality is important to me. It's my integrity. So one of the banks looked at the industry and went, we're behind, okay? What's the problem here? We're not investing in our people in tech. Our output is bad because our people, we haven't given them the right skills, information. So they invested in the people first. Now streets ahead. Other banks, problems, closing, people. Where you invest, for me, my work in corporate is I'm passionate about people, creating synergy. I thread connection and weave energy. And where I see activators in a company, I activate. Where I see inhibitors, I give the owner or the person information. And then when I see dormancy and something that can grow, I express. And it is done through digital connectivity, and I connect people in different ways, activate them.
So what does a program look like at a corporate level?
Okay, so I do two things. First, I have to go in. I have a very unique way of charging. I give options. I do change information analytic. It takes me quick. Conversations, walk around. When I leave here, I can give you a few snippets. Then I do a systems information analytic, but I'm specific. I don't work in systems. I see them, but I have no concentration in implementing them myself. Can spot the problems, who's doing what wrong. After that, I make a suggestion. What we need to do, who we need to work with, and why. And I work with the owner, leaders, corporate exec teams in a different way. So it varies. It's about long-term sustainability because it needs investment. It's time. You have to trust a person, a process, and connection. I work with other facilitators who have different roles and have been chosen specifically because of the way we connect and get insight. And so a model would look like, do a CIA, SIA, give you feedback. This is what I see. Then if you want, I can give you a strategy on how to fix it, implement it yourself, or I work with you. The time that it takes, I give you an estimate of time and hours that I'll put in, deal with staff, and we take it from there. I do workshops, a lot of executive leadership, CEO workshops, make a lot of people laugh, cry, open their minds. And from the bottom, I work bottom up, top down. That's what makes me different, is I do not have a one-size package fits all. And for me, it's important to make money meaningfully, sustainably, and consciously.
What does it mean to be sustainable then? I mean, if you, in the context of exponential technologies like AI and all that kind of stuff, with your kind of objective leadership training, executive consultants, I guess, keeping in mind that obviously adaptability is becoming so more and more important as the world moves more and more into this exponential trajectory. what does it mean to be adaptable, and what are some of the intended outcomes? Is it about a productivity? Is it about efficiency? What is it about? What are executives buying?
Okay. So some executives are buying nothing. Some are so innovative they have 4RR hubs where there's jobs created like a truth philosopher now. Okay. It's amazing. That excites me. And so does small change. Okay. 2 levels here that you're asking me about. The 4th industrial revolution is happening. Process of singularity, tipping point, it's happening now. Some people are resistant. That's okay. However, your ability to adapt has been directly linked to personal relationships. How successful will you be? How easy will it be to make change, or hard? How stuck are you going to choose to be? How much money you earn? How you engage with colleagues, and if you still stay relevant. You have to adapt quicker. To thrive. I don't do survival. I like people to thrive, okay? And the truth is there are jobs that are now not relevant. But the opportunity within 4RR, which is what Ramaphosa was highlighting, the skills that are needed, okay, they are baseline soft skills. They are human skills. Awareness, conflict resolution, right? How to connect to human. How do you make human capital stay relevant? You stay human and you go back to being human. Otherwise, you're going to be irrelevant. Your life's going to be hard. You're going to get stuck, big companies, and you're not going to move on. Some of the greats have fallen, if you look, and if you dig deeper as to why, they lost their humanness. That's why. So, adapt or die, which was stated how many years ago? In Shakespeare.
Ages ago, yeah. Well, it's true. I mean, if you go back 100 years to the top 100 companies listed on the New York Stock Exchange, only 11% are still there.
Do you know what I find fascinating about that? Kodak.
Yeah.
Biggest example. And pictures. Think about, all we do is look at pictures, visuals. People are watching your podcast, listening. How do you miss that?
Well, yeah, exactly. Who knows? But I mean,
because you're not adaptable and you're not willing to change your mind. You have an old paradigm, belief, it's been infringed or whatever, you haven't opened, and you never had access to information maybe. The way forward is knowledge. How do you transform that into wisdom? Because knowledge is just knowledge. Action.
So Toys R Us 2008 were an $11 billion company, 800 stores. And then just 7 years later filed for bankruptcy. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's almost, to your point, it's like too big to fail, but yet still winds up seeing their ass. And there's a whole story around debt and all that kind of stuff. But the truth of the matter is they just didn't buy e-commerce. And then, they did do a small sort of JV with Amazon, but they didn't fully adopt this new paradigm of e-commerce, buying toys online. Amazon did with books, and obviously, that story is kind of self-evident now. But it is, to your point, it is all about this idea. I call it like exponential relevance.
Okay.
It's not even about relevance anymore. It's because relevance used to be, in other words, just traditional relevance. Now it's about exponential relevance. It's, to your point, it's about IQ is not enough. Like I was got to talk tomorrow. One of the things in one of my slides is about the world record for the Rubik's Cube by a human being, from basically all messed up to a finished Rubik's Cube was 4.22 seconds.
I'm not that person.
But I mean, when you watch it, you're like, holy shit,
amazing.
that is incredible.
Yeah.
Like 4.22 seconds.
Incredible.
And then I was looking at the BBC just last week, and AI did it in 0.38 seconds. So, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I love that analogy.
IQ is never going to be enough.
Okay,
It's not.
And EQ?
EQ, well, yeah, EQ I've learned also is just like quintessential to anyone really.
But it's not enough.
But it's also not enough. But then it's about AQ, and then what was is there a fourth one?
Yeah, actually.
In your view, that's emerging?
There is one that I came across, not as an intelligence, but adaptability has been described as adversity. So interesting. It's an article that got published about adversity intelligence comes from personal experience. Okay, why do millennials have a bad name?
Entitlement.
Okay, and they feel they're empowered. No, but wait, you haven't heard what I've got to say. You see, change your mind, open your view. I love millennials. I'll tell you why.
Also socialists, emerging socialists.
whatevs. Their ability to process information, I'll tell you now, it's quicker than mine. They have skills I don't, okay? They've been given opportunities I didn't. What makes them awful is arrogance. It's not a nice feeling. Not saying anyone in millennials here is arrogant, okay? They need to adapt the skills that they do have, own them, but stop looking for empowerment, as in external E, but look at empowerment, right? And entitlement, external, look at entitlement. Drive your own processes, okay? The word in is in the word millennial, right? So adversity, a lot of people look at, I'm entitled to. Adversity teaches you contrast if you use it in the right way, or it just makes you bitter, not moving. There you go.
Very interesting. Adversity quotient. Pick your struggle.
They didn't say, they called it, they said adaptability was adversity. So it's not a new one. They just used the word A as adversity. So I have heard of something else, and that's the context that it was given.
Very interesting. Because I can relate to that. I mean, this whole book that I read, Your Inner Game, is all about that.
Do you know what I love about you, actually?
I'm a Leo, so go ahead.
I know, but it's really true this. A lexicon of business, growth, startup and funding hacks that anyone can learn from and implement. So I asked what a lexicon is.
What's a lexicon?
What's a
again?
lexicon?
It's a source of knowledge.
Right. You're a source of knowledge, okay? You taught me something that you reminded me of something that I'd never seen before, and I do intrinsically, but I didn't have a framing for it. You said, your network is your net worth.
When did I say that?
I don't know, a few weeks ago. Whatever.
Okay, yeah.
Just accept the compliments. What do you want? Like proof of it, the date, the whatever. I'm giving you a compliment. That activated, it's like, how many compliments do you want? You have a depth of knowledge, a way that you see things that is translatable and different. And it struck a chord with me. And it reaffirmed why I do keep some of my clients' confidentiality. And it's not, it's my word, it's my integrity. Because my net worth is my clients. And I need to look after them because I want to and I choose to. I can say names and throw things around, and that's ego. That's ego. I don't operate out of there. Well, sometimes I do, because I also like compliments.
Have you heard of something called egonomics?
Ergonomics, like economics.
I write about it in my book.
Yeah.
So basically, there's always two selves.
Okay.
There's the instant gratification self. So I want the millions now. But and then the second self is like, it's all about it's non-gratification. It's all about contribution. So you're always fighting between the two. You want to be it's like, it takes smoking, for instance. I want to stop smoking, right? But I won't because I need it, or whatever the case is. Like sweets. I'm trying to eat healthy, and then you binge on sweets. There's always this fight in one's sort of psychology between what's good for you and what's bad for you. Like there's a good self and a bad self. And so you're either feeding one or you're feeding the other. But essentially, egonomics is about becoming self-aware of when one is in play and when one is not. And then being able to shift one's decision-making and behavior related to certain contexts. Because it's like when you're under pressure, it's like it's all ego. Put a mic in front of someone, it's not necessarily about ego. It's about, something else for them, typically.
So I like that. I want to expand on that. So I said coaching, if somebody starts telling me what to do, I just want to do the opposite. I get rebellious, okay? Like really rebellious, especially if it doesn't make sense. Then I start to get all antsy and it's a trigger for me. Then every bit of self-awareness I have, no, batshit crazy, okay? Not great. There is the dark and the light shadow that we have. Some things live in the unconscious and subconscious. Dark shadow that we have judgment on. Some live in the light. So I love sweets. I really do. When I tell myself I can't have them, I automatically eat everything and more. Okay? Literally and more. Right? When I tell myself, if you're moderate and you are mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and financially fit, you can have everything in balance. I'm not in balance. Balancing is a verb, right? There is a place for ego. There is a place for selfishness. I never used to believe, I used to feel bad about making money from what I did. I mean, that's like the opposite. Then I want to make money from what I do. I mean, I want to like private jet so I don't have to deal with germs. You know, that's not gonna. No one's gonna land that in my garden. You know, it's a gift.
You hope not. That'd be awkward. Honey, pass the orange juice.
Well, unless it was a present to me, no, that wouldn't be awkward. That would be fucking awesome. It was just delivered to me. Sorry, I swore. Beep that out.
Cool. So let's walk us through this one. So this is quote of the day. What do you mean by this? Walk us through it.
You can't change the world with emails and memos. You change the world with one conversation at a time. How many of you read newsletter emails, memos? How many? I want to know. Anyone? Someone?
I don't.
Right.
That's a dial-in. We have a
It's-
question live.
Yeah, no, actually, it's like the highlight. It's highlighting what I say.
Yeah. Just answer it. Maybe they do have a question. We are live.
My worst part of TV production was answering calls. Live
It's
questions.
the Matt Brown show at the moment.
Yeah, imagine that. Live daily talk show. Done that, not myself, produced it. Okay, so this conversation, has anybody heard anything or learnt anything, been inspired, activated, bored, anything, had any something?
Kira has a question.
No, I don't. I like the talk. I did have a question, but now I can't remember. Oh, how do you have a line? You said that you don't think vulnerability is a strength.
No, I said it doesn't feel like a
It
strength
doesn't feel
to
like
me.
a strength.
Hold on, wait. So vulnerability is not a strength?
No, I didn't say that.
Wait, what are you asking?
No. So if you said that it doesn't feel like a strength
To me.
to you.
Mm-hmm.
So where is your line between compassion and vulnerability?
Okay, so being vulnerable in front of someone, when somebody cries and they're holding pain, it's awful. Huge compassion, okay? My vulnerability, I don't feel is a strength. But I'm able to acknowledge with compassion someone else's. But mine, for me, it feels like awful. Don't find strength in it, okay? But what I do have is a board of directors of people in my life that I have specifically chosen who give me information, truth, honesty, different insight, who I've allowed in. So I am comfortable because they are my board of directors that I go to where I can feel vulnerable. So I'm sensitive to it.
Chris, you seem like you got a question there.
He looks bored as all hell. He's like, nah, this is boring. It was funny in the beginning. Now I'm like bored. Oh, sorry, switched off major.
Alexis, you seem very contemplative.
You're like very.
Go on then.
Yeah, what are you thinking? No, not good. What are you thinking?
Huh?
No, she doesn't have a question, but I'm asking you, like, what are you thinking? Are you thinking like, I want coffee or... Oh,
You need
yeah.
help with your life.
I need lots of help, but that's...
Everybody needs
yeah.
help.
How about this? Huh? Just information, guidance, containment. Help. Doesn't mean something like, don't cry, people need help in crisis, but if you invest, it's investment. Invest in being mentally, physically, fit and all that nonsense. And just, get a feeling of excitement. And don't get stuck in that thought.
You recently discovered you're not as well balanced as you
Do
previously
you make
thought.
change easily? No. You know why? Too much thinking? No. Too much thinking? Not enough feeling? Your feelings in your head are not in alignment. Need to align you. That's all. You censor what you say. Takes you long to move.
That helps an interesting point of departure, right? What kind of help does one need? Do you need a psychotherapist? Do you need a mentor? Do you need a coach? Do you need a friend? Do you need a partner?
So...
Or do you need everything?
I'm like, bring it on. As much help as you can get.
But that's what I personally subscribe to. There's no silver bullet in this stuff.
No, but. I do have a but. Okay. Different people speak to different things. Right? There is a place for everything. I'm not for everybody. And I always refer out psychoanalytical therapists, hypnotherapy, kinesiology. Everything has a place. Life coaching, any coaching, business coaching, executive coaching. It is who you trust to guide you. But getting help is from the right service provider changes. So who's helped me in the past, okay? When I feel within myself a resistance or I'm bored or I don't want to show up, I've got to look at, is this person still helping me? Huh? Am I in denial to what they're saying, or am I bored? Do I need to move on? So you change who guides you, facilitates. I used to use the word mentor until I realized I'm human, people are human. Like you can't mentor somebody into something else, okay? Puts a lot of pressure on someone. What you can do is activate processes. So I use the word activator. Like I can help activate someone as much as they're willing to meet me somewhere. And also, if you're not the smartest in the room, you're in the wrong room. Means you're stuck. Means you're stuck and you're not willing to get information. I love people. I like a mental tussle. So I seek out different people for different things, and I'm committed to growing every year. So I put myself in unfamiliar, uncomfortable situations. And then I make a decision. Do I like this, or is it just making me anxious? You know?
I wrote about this process called triangulation in the book. It's like, I believe that if you only ever operate on your own reality, then you're not operating in reality.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's just say I wanted to, if I was hypothesizing about expanding into the UK or the US as an example. So let's just say I choose the UK just in complete isolation, right? I haven't bothered to basically test my version of reality with other people who I hold in high regard, people who I would say are more intelligent than me in a specific area that I need
They
help
hold a
in.
different smartness.
Absolutely. You know, so it's triangulation is the process of basically going to three people who you respect in your peer group, absolutely qualified as experts, and obviously being able to also tell you the truth. But once you know who those three people are, you test your opinion with them, and invariably you see where that nets out. So if it's only one person agrees with you and the other two people say, no, UK is bad, definitely go to the US. Or it might be a case of saying that they all say, you know, screw the UK, just go to the US. Do you see? So, but you know that if you have the data, and that's the thing, it's like this, to your point here around the conversation, you know, it's the power of the conversation is you're actually trying to get new data points to reflect on. Because what gets reflected on gets remembered and then acted on. It's because you don't remember the experience necessarily.
No.
Right? You remember through reflection actually what you take out of that experience.
Which leads back to the Landmark Education Forum. I don't remember, but my takeout was very clear. How do you identify those people? See, that's the thing, because sometimes when you haven't done enough work, okay, on yourself, you tend to sometimes go to people who you think are smarter than you, but because you don't realize how smart you are. It's about owning who you are and then being willing to change those people. And know always, internally, you have the intuition. You just need information to guide you, but it's in you.
Yep.
No one can tell you what to do.
Gia, let's wrap this up. Why do you do what you do? What gets you out of bed in the morning?
Passion for making people awesome, and information, growing, learning, research, knowledge, being on the leading edge of thought. Love it.
Gia Bass, everybody.
For me.